All right, we're going to talk here about the Nibbletronic. I have here this brave guy, C-Trap called, since today. He's an electronic engineer and he's really into the fascinating thing of using media controllers and playing with it. He makes musical instruments, and he's gonna show you how to get there. Unfortunately, the musician is ill today, so I don't know, maybe we have to call someone from the audience to help him out to play some music afterwards. But this guy will show it all. You right?
Yep, thank you.
Let's light the fuse then.
Okay, first, hello, I'm a bit nervous, but happy to be here. I want to ask you your questions as they arise, so you can keep track of what is going on. And yeah, then this is what is will be about. I will tell you what I did with this device. Then I will tell you what others did before me, and then we want to discuss if you should do the same. As it is traditional, I start with the finished product. What we have here is the current state of the Nibbletronic. I should get rid of the paper. We see the mouthpiece at the left. Then there's a pressure sensor. It is connected with a split PVC hose. There are 4 micro switches right next to the microcontroller board you see there. And then we have a joystick and 2 more sliders. On the other side there is another slider and a MIDI jack. I completely lost track of shit. This is the previous version, and I will use it to illustrate the working principle. As you can see, it had quite a lot more buttons, and it could only play around 11 notes, 1 for each button and another one for no button pressed. The working principle is that you have this mouthpiece, the split hose, which allows you to blow through, so it feels like a traditional instrument. You put your fingers on the button and play it like a flute. The pressure sensor either triggers a note if none has been played before, or controls the volume of the synthesizer, so you can have a volume envelope for every note like a wind instrument does. The buttons define which note is played or trigger another note when you change your finger placement. 11 notes aren't that many, so I decided to use fewer buttons to play more notes. And the 5 of the left hand then were used to encode 5 bits. So using these 5 buttons, you can then count in binary up to 31. This worked. You have great tonal range. You can play 4 full octaves with that if you omit the semitones. But it is a bit hard to memorize 32 distinct finger placement. Nobody wants to do that. And so I came up with a more ergonomic control scheme. Where's the next button here? Screw that. Yeah. Using only 5 buttons, you can ditch 1 more because that one was for the thumb and was kind of hard to play. It became a thumb rest. I then added 2 buttons from the right hand, and that way was able to encode 60 notes, and with the right hand up to 4 octaves, which was actually, it became playable. You only had to remember 12 finger placements, and you could, you started to play semitones, so you had the full tonal range of 4 octaves, which is quite something. Remembering 12 finger settings is better than 32, but not yet ideal. And having 16 numbers available for just 12 notes that I needed. In the final refinement, I decided to assign the full notes to the even numbers and the semitones to the uneven ones. That way you only have 7 finger placements left, and that actually was manageable and has been played last year on this conference. Not by me, I never learned to do this. This is the resulting control scheme, and this is implemented in the current version. And you see, you play with actually only three fingers and have the pinky left as modifier for semitones. This works. It still has a lot of unused buttons and has the slight problem that it is pain in the ass to manufacture. All this brass rods and threadings and putting it together, it takes ages. It was kind of unergonomic. There were tons of cables. So time for a next iteration. And this is that what came from that. On the other side, we have the 4 buttons for the notes and a joystick for pitch bend and modulation, as somehow they showed up on synthesizers and never went away, so I thought I'd go with that. And 2 sliders for whatever. You can assign some continuous controller to that and adjust your sound and whatever you do with the MIDI controller. On the lower side, we have now a slider. The slider next to the pressure sensor is used to encode the octaves, and the whole range is mapped to just 4. If you want more octaves, you can program them in. You can actually solve this in software, which is nice, but it becomes hard to find your octaves that way after some time. And we have a battery as a power supply, so fewer cables now. I'm missing the next button. Problem is, nothing of what I did is actually really new, as I found out. And there's tons of prior art out there. Especially in the comment section of the Gordophone blog, you find lots of people asking questions for their own builds. So there are really, really a lot of EWIs out there. As I said, instructables. This is the wireless Gordophone. Some build I found. This one is interesting. It's a device by Nias Diener, who started to design these things in the 60s and built the first ones in the 70s. And then actually designed the one big commercially available product from Akai. This is a Nias Diener design, so there's actually one person doing all this thing out there. There are a lot of builds. These things are available, and I have never witnessed one being used in some kind of performance. So they exist and nobody uses them, which was kind of a mystery to me. So there are the reasons why these things exist. There are a lot of practical reasons. There are artistic reasons. You can control not just synthesizers, you can control your light show, and this might make sense in some settings. But the really big advantage of EWIs is that while traditional instruments have an interface that is mostly defined by the underlying physics, with an electronic device you can do what you want. You have no such constraints, and you can build an instrument for somebody who has maybe a non-standard number of fingers or hands. Another idea would be to ditch the breath control completely, replace it with a foot pedal, and you can build a wind instrument that somebody with weakened lung or some other problems can actually play. So there is the main reason to design these things, to build instruments that otherwise, for people that otherwise couldn't play an instrument. As an example, I have the sketch of an EWI for a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a very long neck, reinforced steel mouthpiece, reinforced claw pads, and another band control input that allows the T-Rex with his poor fine motor skills to actually play this thing. Another good reason to build those is to understand what's there. What we have here is the device that is built by Arkai, and in the circle there's a set of metal rollers, and they are opposite of the left-hand finger pads. They react to touch. They can be moved, but they don't detect movement. And I've seen this, and I didn't understand why somebody would build such an interface. And then I built this. We have a question. Oh, thank you.
I own this. So if you're really interested, I own this device and I know how to play it. And if you know how to play a saxophone, it's completely obvious why you want to build it that way.
I understood it later because this is the only wind instrument that I actually own, and I can't play it, which is a shame. I'm planning to learn it since 2 years or so.
Excuse me, are there saxophone players here in the room? Maybe they can help you with that.
I actually figured it out because this setup with the octave selection opposite of the left-hand fingers doesn't work too well. You're pushing on the slider and at the same time pushing against your fingers, so you can play notes that require you to release all your fingers. And you're just pushing the instrument out of your mouth, and that may be a comedic element, but it doesn't really work. This could be mitigated in several ways with a neck strap, like many traditional instruments have. But in the end, I found out that these rollers at the Arkai are actually used for octave selection. So no real new idea there. And because they react to touch, you don't really have to push against your fingers. You can move your left-hand fingers completely independent from your thumb. And because these rollers, they give you really good feedback where your thumb is, much better than the mechanical slider. So yeah, by building my own device, I kind of imitated accidentally the big one by Arkai and got to understand why they did what they did, how they came to these conclusions, and I got a really nice understanding about electronic wind instruments. So this is another good reason why you might want to build such a device. Na, komm schon. Yeah. If you thought you would see something revolutionary here, they exist since the 60s. They make sense. If you have a T-Rex in your life who wants to play a wind instrument, now you can build one for him. And you probably should if you want to understand these devices. They pose some interesting software problems. You don't want to spam your synthesizer, but you want to have continuous breath control the whole time, and you have to balance that out. The sensor is not quite straightforward, and there are a lot of interesting problems to solve there. If you don't want to start from scratch, here are the links, and the Gordophone page is great. There are several builds, several different control schemes, and there is a lot of theory in there, lots of source code, and lots of solutions. At Patchman, there's the historical reference. There are the devices of Niles Diener and some other exotic builds. The Hopkins electronic aerophone is actually wireless, which might be interesting to build if you're into that. And of course, we have the Nibbletronic, which you have seen here, and several pictures. So, thank you very much. I'm under the impression that I've been quite fast this time. I'm kind of as relieved as you, and are there any questions?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, C-Trap. I think we all appreciated that you come over to speak about a nibble instrument. Actually, I can help you as well to point you to some saxophone players who play this Akai kind of devices. Are there people here among the audience who play this instrument? Is there a possibility maybe to show as well the instrument? Because you have it here in your box.
I actually brought it with me. And the full bill of materials is on the page, and there are some boards, which were you can't order less than 6. So and I don't want to found an orchestra. So yeah,
not yet, but there are enough people here to make that kind of band, I presume. Is this functional? Is this? Can we test it without having damages?
Not right now. The firmware is kind of borked currently. I came here to finish the development and to work on the next iteration, because, as I said, this solution for octave selection is less than ideal.
Probably there are some people who can help you with that. Are there?
I thought that maybe some people around here might know something about building hardware. I'm not sure, but
I don't see any hands yet. No one? There.
Okay.
We found one. Second.
Very nice.
Okay, there are questions, I presume. Is here from the internet?
Yes, the question is, why did you choose a non-canonical setup for the finger buttons?
Non-what?
Excuse me, can you repeat that, please?
Why have you chosen a non-canonical setup for the finger buttons?
I hated playing the recorder at school, and I wanted to go as far away as possible from that.
I love that. We know that feeling, I presume. Is there another question somewhere here? In maybe. Oh yeah, 1 second. Please take the microphone, sir. Playing the buttons.
Yeah. What exactly does the breath do? What does the pressure sensor do? Is it for volume or?
Yeah, it controls the channel volume. I think it's CC7 or something like that. Of the whole synthesizer. So you can define your volume envelope for each node.
Okay, thank you.
Right? And someone else? Question? There are 4 mics here. Someone on the internet? Yes, there, please, sir. Take the mic.
So if you want to see somebody who's really good at it, playing the Akai Evi, you go to YouTube and Google and search for Origin Arrays by Michael Brecker, and then you see a superb 15 minutes of...
Pardon?
Origin Arrays
Okay.
played by Michael Brecker and his band.
Okay.
Thank you. No one else here with a suggestion? Is there a band that can be now assembled here in the back? No? Thank you very much once again. Thank you, C-Trap, for this fantastic presentation.